Hi, okay, right. I'm just going to carry on. I don't care.
Just start. Let's just go.
Welcome to Mad About Money. I'm Alexander-Grout, and this is the podcast where we talk to interesting people all about their interesting stories. This is the third take of this podcast because the fact that we've been laughing and doorbells have been ringing and dogs have been coming in and we've just been doing random stuff. So anyway, I am joined today by the lovely Rhiannon Cooper, who is the founder of I can't even remember.
Not so typical fitness.
Not so typical fitness. Jesus Christ, I got it right the first 2 times. Now we're like, I mean, this is a great icebreaker, isn't it? So, like, normally my brain is on form, but apparently not so much today. I feel like possibly my meds might be wearing off, and I might need a top up.
Standard.
Anyway, Rhiannon is a qualified personal trainer, and she has a business called Not So Typical Fitness. And she also has a social media business on the side as well, a little side hustle, which we like on this podcast. And Rhiannon is going to talk to us today about lots of different things. So I'm going to ask her, Rhiannon, tell me a little bit about you, first of all.
So, you've done a good job of summing me up with being a personal trainer, so qualified personal trainer, but also social media kind of personal branding type stuff as well. My whole life changed about 3 years ago when I received a late diagnosis to autism. Of autism. I am autistic. I'm autistic, and I fully embrace that because I know some people out there don't like this idea of being labelled, and a lot of people also think that, or they don't consider themselves to be disabled by their neurodivergence. My neurodivergence has ruled my life in so many ways.
Yeah.
So I am in the camp where, and I've taken this on a tangent already, but I consider myself to be disabled by my neurodivergence, which is my autism, my ADHD, as the kind of the main things that, you know, have affected my brain and my life and money as well. I know we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But I think that my diagnosis changed my life in more ways than one. I basically have had a very traditional like ADHD as job history where I have, had, I don't know, I think I worked it out once, about 19 jobs in 10 years across like 19 industries. And that's having gone to university and getting a degree and working within that field. It was boring and I, moved on. And I've never really found my place until like 6 months ago, where I realized that my diagnosis allowed me to understand myself more. And at the point of being diagnosed, I was about 24 stone and really significantly mentally unwell as well as physically unwell. And by understanding myself and my brain, I was able to look at my nutrition. And I used to think I hated exercise, and I have realized I don't hate exercise. I hate feeling out of control. And so when I would get breathless, I would feel out of control of my body and I couldn't cope. It's like sensory overwhelm. And so, right? Huge. And it just happened. I was on a treadmill once, and there's a long story, but the short version is on the treadmill one of the first times at the start of this weight loss journey. And I went into panic and I was like, why am I panicking? No one else around me. I was only walking, but no one else around was panicking. They were running. Like, what is it? And I sat there and I like to know why. I have this big thing of understand why. And it's like, it must just be that the moment I start panting, it's that feeling of discomfort, and therefore I stop. And I hate that. But understanding it, now I get out of breath and I'm like, this is it. This is what you need to do. And you can push beyond it. So it changed my life. So now I want to help other people realize that you can make fitness and exercise work for you in a way that is being mindful of your own neurodivergence. And you deserve to be healthy and fit and happy and all of those things that come from, exercise.
I mean, I love learning stuff, especially on my own podcast, because I feel like it's really good. But I have always been somebody who hates exercise, or at least thought I hated exercise. Well, I started doing things which actually I quite liked. So I quite enjoy walking. And if I can walk and do a TikTok live at the same time, I'm like, this is cool. Like, I'm getting my steps in. I'm doing something that's productive, and I'm also talking to my audience, so that works. Also, as well, I've discovered 7-minute kitchen dancing,
Oh, I love that.
which is basically where I come home from the school run first thing in the morning, because I don't do any exercise. I am definitely overweight, but also I don't care that I'm overweight. I've spent a long time living in this body, and I feel like the more of it the more there is to cuddle, the more there is to love. So therefore, I'm fine. Um, until sometimes I walk past a mirror in a dress and I go, "Ooh, that's not good." But at the same time, I have learned to be absolutely comfortable with the way that I am, and I'm quite lucky that my husband likes me the way I am. He doesn't care. But there are some buts. I have an autoimmune disease. I've got all of the neurodivergent conditions, and I need to be fitter. Like, I don't do fitness to be. For me, fitness is mental health. So my 7 minutes of kitchen dancing involves me coming into the kitchen and literally whatever I feel like putting on that morning. It's often stuff like Chase and Status, or like, some form of like funky house remix, or it will be something like Corn or Disturbed, and I'll just rock out in my kitchen, like, to whatever I feel like. Because music is the thing that gives me the dopamine, and if I'm moving at the same time, and like, I've actually, instead of just kitchen dancing, I've actually started to do it with like actual weights. Although I have had to hide them because we actually had an A&E emergency involving one of the children the other day. That's a long story, but never let an ADHD child free with some weights around his small sister, because it ends up with stitches. He clocked her on the head with one, and it was like a fountain of blood, and we're like, this is just not cool. So yeah, anyway, I took over a bit there, but the thing that interested me the most about that is that running has always been something that I have really hated, because I've never been diagnosed asthmatic, but I've always had wheeziness, and it's that feeling you get in your chest where it's like, it's uncomfortable. You feel sick after you've done it for a while. I mean, afterwards it's great, but then the actual thing. When I was at school, they used to make us do cross country running, and I think
Me
it
too.
traumatized me for life. Like, I was in a gang, back in those days. We were called the Zimmer frame bomber bitches. Yeah, hilarious. Because we all had bomber jackets. Don't tell anyone, 'cause it's so 90s. It's so gross. Like, I think back at it and think, oh my god, who even was I? But yeah, we had bomber jackets, and we used to go out in our PE kits with our Adidas popper trousers, and like, I mean, this was my chav phase. It was only about 3 weeks long, but it was there. And we used to go out and we used to do cross country running, and we were always the people who were walking at the back, generally trying to sneak off to like have a sneaky cigarette somewhere. Like, it was yeah, fitness just wasn't my thing, and like, it didn't give me dopamine. Also, I would forget my PE kit most weeks, which they tended to blame my mum for, so she was always really cross, but it was genuinely me. I'd leave it on the bus, I would leave it at the bus stop, I would not take it in the first place, I would just, yeah, every time. So yeah, I feel you on that. And actually, yeah,
Yeah.
how did you kind of go from being 24 stone to realizing that actually fitness wasn't the worst thing in the world? Because I think a lot of ADHDers and autistic people will struggle with that.
Yeah, I think kind of going back to what you were saying about cross country and school and stuff as well, when you're growing up undiagnosed with any kind of neurodivergent condition, I think you focus so much on just surviving school
Mm,
that things like listening in a lesson when they might be talking about nutrition or how to make a balanced meal, you're probably not going to do either, because you're actually just trying to survive the journey of being in school.
yeah.
I wouldn't forget my PE kit. I would purposely skip school. I would just not
Mm,
go because I had, and that was not just for PE, it was just in general. School in general was not a nice, happy time for me.
no.
I wasn't in a gang. I was the person desperate to find a gang of people to be friends with.
You know what?
Um,
I had the same thing. I think, like, I mean, this was, when I say this was a gang, I think this was literally just like maybe the 3 or 4 neurodivergent people in my class who would
the
hang at the back.
oddballs.
Yeah, the people who didn't want to You know, it was literally a cross country running gang. Like, they didn't actually talk to me outside of
Ah.
that situation. But I was the person at school that was in the middle of all the gangs. Like, I was friends with friends in inverted commas, like, as in I could talk to anybody, and I did because I was chatty Maddie. But I was the weirdo that nobody wanted to be friends with because
Mm.
I had like different color hair, and like I wasn't supposed to have different color hair. I get told off about it all the time. But I had like I had a turquoise streak at the front, which like I basically used to like hide under my hair so the teachers couldn't see it. But then like when all the boys were around, I'd be like this. Like
Brilliant.
and my hair has never changed color. Well, I mean, I say it's never changed color. Like, it's never not been colored apart from when I was in the corporate world, and I felt really suppressed and angry and resentful about the whole thing. But yeah, no, I mean, school is horrible for neurodivergence, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tough. And I think that school in general for any child is tough. I think for anyone, there are times at school that are difficult.
Mm,
But I think growing up autistic and when you're struggling, there's this element of it is just about surviving. And then I think, especially for me anyway, that this thing came out in where I had let myself go in a sense,
mm,
because I was just trying to survive. So up until till 30, it was just about getting through each day and not
mm,
breaking down or feeling overwhelmed and disassociating from
yeah.
life. And the sort of change happened in my mindset to do with fitness and health was me and my wife, we were walking our dogs, and she
What
had
dogs have you
not,
got?
we've got a border collie and a Belarusian mutt. They're lovely.
Oh, oh,
Yeah, my
lovely.
babies. I love
Carry on.
them.
Sorry.
So we're walking our border collie and our Belarusian mutt, and she was breathless.
Okay.
And she was smaller than me. Like, I've always been the bigger person, which is fine. I'm a bit like you. I don't think that fit means skinny.
No.
Fit and healthy means using your body and having a healthy body and mind. Like, and that doesn't mean being skinny. Um, but I was walking with her. She was out of breath. I wasn't. At that time, I also had a horse. And so I was mucking out a horse every day and walking a horse in and out of fields and all of this active
Mm,
stuff. And I remember we had this conversation and I was like, "You're breathless." She was like, "Yeah, you're not." And I was like, "Yeah, I know, but oh, I must be fitter than you because, I'm not out of breath and you are." And there was this like, kind of like, oh, cool. But then as it dawned on me, it was like, if I want to live a long, happy, healthy life, and even though I was mentally unwell, my depression was really bad at that point.
mm,
I I love my life. I've got my dogs, my wife, a
yeah.
supportive family. Like, I was in a good place. And I didn't want that to end. And
Mm,
so I needed to it dawned on me that if a heart is a muscle and if your lungs are a muscle, actually you need to get breathless and have your heart pumping blood around your body in order to use them for them to be healthy, to then keep you alive. And there was this moment where I was
true.
like, yeah, but I was like, I could not remember the last time I was out of breath. It genuinely was probably back at school doing cross country. It would
Mine's
have
every
been
time I
something
walk
like that.
upstairs.
But your heart, at least though, right? In all seriousness, your body is moving and you are pushing your lungs and your heart. So
Yeah.
actually they're working. Mine just were like flatlining. I mean, they were because I was
Mm,
alive, but in terms of
yeah.
pushing, they weren't doing anything extra. And that was the moment I was like, oh gosh, well, I don't want to lose this. My wife, my family, I love it. It's great.
Mm,
And that was when I decided something had to change. And so I first of all started with nutrition to try and get an idea of that. I was like, did that for a couple of months, did lose some weight. And I was like, this isn't doing the thing that I need to do, which is,
mm,
use my body. So I joined the gym. It's like a little local gym, literally across the road from me, and had been across the road from me for like 6 years. I just never got on. But that doesn't matter.
you're
Better late
going.
than never. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I joined it and I hated it. Hated it for about 3 months. I went every other day and I did cardio. Hated it. And my wife would say, asked like, but do you not feel good now? I was like, no, I hate it. Every bit of it I hated, until I realized that bit about the feeling out of control with my breathing. And I did. It was like it was a switch. And then it was like, that's exactly what I need to be doing. And it's okay. It's okay to be breathless. You don't have to panic. You're not going to die. The reality is I'm probably going to die if I never get breathless because I wasn't using my body. So that's the start to this huge kind of shift I've done away from all of my very random corporate jobs to being self-employed, being a bit of a freelancer, but mostly just wanting to help people who were like me 3 years ago.
I mean, you've helped me in the past 15 minutes, so
I need that as a little a sound snippet.
yeah, I'll go and do a LinkedIn testimonial. I mean, like that is a really, really interesting way of looking at fitness, because and I've got bad mobility problems, I've got joint problems, I have all sorts of panic and anxiety problems, and actually being out of breath is something that makes me feel panicky. It makes me feel like, and I think that's the autistic side. And actually, I have never ever thought of it like that. So already that's just flipped a switch for me a little bit there.
And then you can couple that with things like getting sweaty, because that's uncomfortable. I don't like being sweaty. Clothes sticking or getting irritated because they feel weird. And then you've got noises at a gym or outside or wherever you are. And when all of those things come together, it's not surprising that me and you say we hate exercise, because we hate the way that environment, wherever it is and whatever we're doing, makes us feel.
Yes. And I always used to get picked last for like whatever team it was. And like and the rejection sensitivity dysphoria, if you do something wrong, like you miss a goal, or like, you know, you're playing and like somebody tries to pass it to you and you're an absolute klutz and you've got dyspraxia and you can't catch a ball that's being thrown at you. I mean, like, I've never thought about my fitness journey as being like, actually, I think I've got some like maybe fitness trauma that has been in my life for a long time that I've never properly processed, which is really interesting.
It's huge. And the impact of neurodivergence on your ability to be fit and healthy. I don't think people have kind of made that connection, because a lot of people, like especially ADHDers, they can like hyper focus. So they might start running and they'll love it and they'll run and run and run and run. And that's their mental health. You know, they love it for that reason. It's mindfulness, not me and not a lot of people. So it's like, that's why I'm so big on being able to make fitness work for you. And like your kitchen dancing 7 minutes, that's amazing, because that's 7 minutes that you're improving your health every day. That's what I'm about as a personal trainer as well. It's like, well, what do you need, or what should we try to find something that will make you move your body in a way that feels fun and energizing and makes you feel happy and actually appreciate the body you're in. And if that's listening to like Chase and Status, or I don't know, DJ Hazard, whatever it is you want to listen to, go for it. Just do it. And don't be ashamed to do it.
So I had quite a big weight loss journey. So when I've had several big weight loss journeys. So I had there's a bit in my book, so I won't tell people too much about it because I kind of want people to order my book. But
order Maddie's book.
Yeah. So I mean, essentially, my boss called me fat. But he didn't just call me fat, he called me fat behind my back to my entire office. And I found out about it and it was horrendous. And I ended up losing that job and feeling so bad that I joined Slimming World.
I've done that, yeah.
So anyway, I joined Slimming World. I cannot get, as an autistic person, I cannot get my head around how the fuck you can eat unlimited pasta and not get fat. I could not get my head around the fact that if you mash a banana, it's like the world's most amount of sins. But if you eat a whole banana, it's absolutely fine. It fucking mashes in your stomach. Like, what is that?
I know.
So anyway, I got really, and actually it almost ended up with me having an eating disorder. Because
I definitely have an eating disorder from my time at Slimming World, without a doubt.
And it's horrendous. Like, honestly,
I'm going to say, sorry to interrupt, but this is a really important thing. An organisation that calls food that may not be as nutritionally valuable as other food sins, no matter how they spell it, is going
Right.
to negatively impact anybody who joins that group, because a sin is a sin. It's not synergy, might be what they call it, but fundamentally you've associated it with doing something bad
Bad.
and have shame
Absolutely.
and grief around the fact you want to eat a blooming biscuit.
Yes, I fucking love biscuits. And I think there is a really, really big thing where, I mean, especially for ADHDers, where food is dopamine for us. And yes, that can lead to unhealthy habits. Like I had an eating disorder when I was younger. I wasn't bulimic, I wasn't anorexic, but I was a binge eater. And I hid the fact that I binge ate from my parents. And it was basically like they were at work, so I would come home from school, I would spend my dinner money on sweets and chocolate, and because I was so low, I was bullied at school quite badly, and I would go home, eat all the sweets and chocolate, feel disgusting, have really low self-esteem, um, feel really nice at the time I was eating the chocolate, but then at the time after, I would feel horrendous and I'd feel guilty about it. I'd hide the wrappers in my school bag, drop them off at the bus stop on the way to school, start the process again. And actually, when I was younger, my metabolism was so fast that I was actually really quite skinny until I got to about the age of 18 and discovered booze. Um, but by that point, my eating habits were so terrible that I needed that sugar, I needed that dopamine, and I gave myself a sugar addiction. Then I
Mm.
gave myself a booze addiction because I kind of swapped out the sugar for the booze. I mean, more sugar in the booze probably. And actually, I have spent probably most of my life seeking that dopamine from food and unhealthy sources, when actually, if I had realized earlier on that I had ADHD and that I was dopamine seeking and that actually the sugar was the thing that was making me happy, I could have regulated that a bit more. And I think that's a big difference between the culture now and the culture in the 90s, where there was a lot more available. Like I would, at break time, I would go and buy like 3 cookies because they were melty and they were squishy and I like the texture of them.
Oh God, I still do that today.
Oh, I know, it's
I love a
terrible. I mean,
cookie. I love a pack of
literally,
5.
pack of 5. I ate 5 cinnamon and raisins. They've got raisins in them. I'm going to go with it's healthy.
I'll
5 of
allow
them.
it.
No. It's like if I like something, I will hyper focus on it and I will eat it until like
Yeah.
there's none of it left. Custard donuts. Never buy a packet of custard donuts in our house because if they're day fresh, if they're in the morning done, I will eat all of them by the end of the day and then go, oh my god, I'm so gross.
And
But
live in the shame of what you've
and
just
live in the
done.
shame
Yeah.
of what I've just done. Exactly. And there is so much shame around eating. But actually, it's like there shouldn't be, because no foods are good, no foods are bad. It's just moderation of the things which have slightly higher calorie content or slightly more sugar in them. And
Yeah.
we all need a bit of something nice every now and again, and not to be shamed for it. Like,
We need food to live. And I think the fact that there's shame associated to something that you
yeah.
need to have to live is where it all just goes wrong in our society.
And
Really?
I've got a PDA profile, right? So I like the whole like you have to drink 2 liters of water thing a day. I'm like, fuck off, I can do what I want. And I've recently just discovered flavored water, which has no calories in it, and it's actually really nice. So I have like strawberry and kiwi water
There's
in
always
my
a way
nice.
to make something work. You just have to find it.
Yeah. But I genuinely, I'm like, I have ADHD, so I forget to drink water sometimes until like 6 o'clock at night. And then I'm like, why have I got a migraine? Why is this happening to me? I have to have any fluids all day. That would be why. But then I've got the internal bit going, I don't want to drink 2 liters of water. I don't care. I can survive on like a couple of sips. It's fine.
Although it is annoying going to the loo all the time. And I
I
forget to go to the
agree.
loo. I forget. And then I'm so desperate, I can barely move at the end of the day. And I'm like, well, I'm so desperate for a wee. And it's like, I haven't gone for a wee in the 6 hours I've been thinking I need a wee. So I just don't get up and go.
I am also, and it's that task paralysis.
Mm.
Like I almost need, and it's the same with like last night. My husband was away, and I really needed a bath. Like really, I was kind of honky, right? I was like, I need to wash. Really need a bath. I waited until like 1:45, and I was like, oh, for God's sake, Maddie, you still haven't had a bath. So I had a shower. I forced myself to have a shower. So I can't smell. I need to wash my hair. I need to look
Needs must.
presentable. I've got 2 podcasts today. Need to do something. But it was the fact that I had to go onto Facebook, do a post about it so that somebody told me to go and wash. Sometimes I need people to tell me what I'm doing. But
The
at the
body
same
doubling
time,
thing though as well, like having somebody just with
yeah,
you makes a huge difference. And if your husband wasn't there and he's your person,
yeah.
yeah,
If
exactly.
he, I need him for the sleep cues to help me to go to bed.
I
Because
have that.
otherwise, I like on Saturday night, I went to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning because I was watching some celebrity influencer thing. It was apple cider vinegar.
Mm.
It's basically it's a Netflix thing, and it's all about this woman who is an influencer who basically says that she's got cancer, and she weirdly, because we're on topic here of nutrition, she launches this nutrition app. And as somebody who has recently come under fire from the press for being in inverted commas, sickfluencer, because of the fact that I am a disabled person who helps disabled people, and I have on paper, if people want to see my diagnosis, I have them. But I was very interested in this because I was like, how can somebody grow their following so much from talking about disability? And I was like, oh, that's what I do.
Brilliant.
Okay, now I know where we're going with this. And then I was like, oh. And then I got even more offended, got really bad RSD because I didn't quite understand what the sickfluencer term was. And now I'm raging about this. I can't sleep. So,
Brilliant.
yeah, it was a long one. It was a long one. But I think, anyway, back to the original topic of dieting and that diet culture. I have tried lots and lots of different things. Um, and actually, when I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease, I got told all of the things that I could and couldn't eat.
Hmm.
And that made me go, what the fuck? Like, my life is going to be really boring.
What was your diagnosis?
Hashimoto's disease. So
What's this?
it's an autoimmune disease where all of the healthy blood cells in your body attack your thyroid.
Oh,
So
okay, fine.
it's essentially like all of your white cells flock towards your thyroid.
So it's not overactive thyroid or underactive,
Well,
but it's
it causes an underactive thyroid, which is the
okay.
thing that has caused me to put the most weight on.
I'm learning today too.
So yeah,
Mm.
so it's the thing that helps you to, and it's quite a common autoimmune disease. It's like 5% of the population actually have it, so it is quite a key one. But the diet is basically it's no sugar, no dairy, no wheat, no nightshades, so like things like
Tomatoes.
tomatoes and peppers. And actually, I have now said to my husband, I can't have peppers anymore. I don't like peppers. I've never liked peppers. It's a great excuse.
Yeah.
Um, but the other things, so I stopped drinking when I got my Hashimoto's diagnosis and also I really needed to do that a long time ago because I was essentially a functioning alcoholic. I didn't wake up in the morning and want to drink, but I was very much a binge drinker, and it was a bad culture to be in. And that's changed my life, actually, stopping drinking. I still have the odd drink every now and again, very
It's
odd,
controlled and you choose to do
but it's
it.
controlled, and I choose to do it rather than like me going, I'm going to go out and get shit faced because it's a Saturday night. But the sugar's the thing that I struggle the most to kick, because there is that addictive thing. But when I got my Hashimoto's diagnosis, I really tried to do exercise. And the only exercise I've ever really loved is dancing. Like, I've danced since I was a child. I used to actually have ballroom dancing trophies. Like, I loved it. I can't watch Strictly because it gives me really bad RSD that I didn't stick to it, and it makes me feel really
Get a bit
bad.
of like FOMO.
Yeah, I do. But I also wasn't the best at ballroom dancing because I have dyspraxia, and dyspraxia makes me all over the place, and I'm not very coordinated. I don't know my left from my right, and I'm like just
Don't need
hand.
to be good at something to enjoy it though.
No, and I think this is a really, really, really good point because, like, we were talking about Danny Wallace's event, the Big Festoon, and like talking about how like who's going to be on the dance floor, and I was like, I dance like a mum. I'm such a bad dancer, and someone was like, oh, don't let that stop you. I was like, oh, hell no, I won't. I'm totally a flailer, and I love it. I don't even care that I'm the worst dancer in the room. Like, as long as I'm having fun and I'm laughing and I'm moving my body, I literally don't give a shit. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that we haven't even talked about any money stuff,
I
and
know. I know. I'm so sorry.
no, this has been an incredibly fascinating story. So so you and I totally interrupted you and took over. So
No,
again,
it's really, but it just, for me, it highlights why I want to do what I want to do and what I'm doing
mm,
with trying to just talk about fitness in such a different way.
yeah,
Um, because even doing my qualifications to become a personal trainer, it's so fixated on, you've got different kind of goals. So someone might want to lose weight, someone might want to build muscle, someone
yeah,
might want to actually, be putting weight on if they're underweight. There's a lot of goals, but there's never a goal that you can, or within my course, that was like not set around an 8-week program.
mm,
And I really struggle with 8-week programs. It's very hard to, if you get into the rhythm, by the time you got into the rhythm with something, it's changing. And
yeah,
then I don't want to do it because it's not what I know. So I can do a routine and a rhythm, but I want to stay in it. And for
mm,
muscle building, that's not really what you want to be doing. And I won't go into that. But there was nothing within the course that was about how to make fitness accessible for people who don't fit this very generalized idea of having a goal that's 8 weeks. So
yeah,
my whole training was design an 8-week program for this or for that. And I did it, but the amount of meltdowns I had during this course, I cancelled my practical assessment because of just mental health issues all
mm,
surrounding this, because it's not right and it's not
yeah,
appropriate for everyone. And so it's important to talk about things like this because people think it has to be like that. It doesn't.
no.
So
So how do people work with you then? That's usually my last question, but I'm just curious.
yeah. No, it's a good question because so when I started, I got a job in a gym, in a chain gym, where you
Okay.
do shifts. And
Mm,
by doing those shifts in a gym, you can then go and train clients in the gym.
right.
Now, I had almost incorrectly assumed that my clients would be mostly online because I thought, well, I'm aiming for people who maybe have never gone to a gym or don't really know much about fitness. They're probably not going to be in a gym already. So I set myself up really for online clients because I
Mm,
wanted to be as accessible as possible in terms of geographical location. So
yeah.
I do coach clients online. That basically consists of working out lots of calls and working out what they need. Then we
Mm,
create a plan that isn't a rigid 6-8 week plan. It's very much like, what should we try and let's do this, and very flexible. But what was unexpected is by being in the gym, I would do inductions and classes and I would build rapport with people. And the amount of people in the gym who are in desperate need of somebody to do things differently as well has
mm,
been really surprising. So I do also do in person because it was like a realization that I'd stereotyped everybody to be too nervous to go to a gym. But actually, a lot of people can get over that initial hurdle. But what they can't do is go and do the weights. They can't do the free weights. They can't sit on a bench. They want
mm.
to, but they'll just go on the treadmill or the cross trainer. That's it.
That's
And
exactly what
so,
I did. I feel
mm,
again very seen.
yes, me too. Until I worked out the breathless thing, that was all I did, was just that.
Yeah. And
Um,
I think actually, like, I'd probably enjoy doing the weights more, but I
oh,
have
it's very empowering.
no
It's
idea what I
so
would be
good.
doing. Like, no, literally no idea. Because
Yeah, so
actually weight
it
training
is.
trains you up and like actually makes you skinnier, doesn't it? Like maybe that's what I wanted to do, and I just never thought about it.
And what I'm going to say is there is something very powerful that when you say you start off at doing a exercise at 10 kilos, let's say, whatever it is, doesn't matter, but the weight that you're using is 10. And let's say that the following week you get to 12. And there you suddenly
Mm,
start to believe in yourself. So for
mm,
me, my fitness journey wasn't just about losing weight. So I lost over 100 pounds. I have like put 30 pounds back on. I'm mentally unwell and
mm,
life and me are not in good places at the moment. And I eat and there's this thing. So again, fitness isn't about being perfect, but you do gain this thing that's like, I did that, I've progressed, I've seen this development. And when you walk out the gym, it's like, I can do life because
yeah,
I've just done that. And there's some exercise where you like, it's very like very powerful for
yeah.
just feeling like your body can do stuff. So yeah. Good. So the way I work online is I do little videos of how to do something, very clear instructions. I have a YouTube channel as well where I'll go through different workouts and just how to use different machines, just anything that I think would help somebody feel that they could go into a gym and do something. So I do a free session in person, my first one, and it is always about let's go and just exist in the gym. Try a few things, but there's no pressure here. We're basically just getting you used to being in the gym, being in the weights area. And I take them on a walk around, and the other PTs will look at me like, is she still doing a tour? And it's like, yeah, because I know that this person won't go there because they feel uncomfortable. And as you might know, and I know, and I might have presumed there, but a comfort zone is only so big. And if you never flex it, it will never grow. And so you have to be slightly uncomfortable to then get to a place where you do feel comfortable. So we do it in a really safe way where, we'll just walk through and we'll go, look at where the treadmills are, but not the ones they normally go to, the ones the other side of the gym. So it's safe and it's all just about confidence building. So, yeah.
I love that. I really love that. It's really interesting to talk slightly different. But we do have to talk a little bit about money here because that's what this podcast is about.
I
Stupid
do have
money.
some money stories as well. So
I mean, yeah, that is the question that I ask every single person that comes on this podcast. What is your money story?
I am on a debt management plan.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah. And it is through what you discussed before, really, dopamine purchasing.
Yeah.
So not eating, but purchasing stuff to try and get that adrenaline hit thing that we want. And growing up in a house where we never really had money, I was made to feel like we never had money, but we always had a new car. And so it was this growing up thinking, well, we've never got money, but we can spend it when we get it because we have these nice things.
Yeah.
And so that definitely impacted it. But it was, for me, mostly my expenditure was from hyperfixation on stuff like crystals. Yeah. And I have shelves and shelves. I know I mean, they are everywhere. I have, so drawers full over here of crystals and leggings.
I have actually got an actual crystal drawer. This is like, it's also got plasters and chewing gum in it. But yeah, this drawer is all crystals. Yeah. I'm obsessed. Crystals, tarot cards, anything that is fidgety. I mean, I have actually now had the same fidgets for the last 3 months because I bought a pack of hairbands and they're rainbow colours.
Nice.
So I get massive amounts of dopamine from these because they are pretty. They also are functional because they put my hair up, and they also are great.
Brilliant.
And they're on brand for all my rainbow stuff.
I love it.
But yeah, crystals are bad for me. I am, but I actually give myself now a crystal budget every month.
I've dropped it now. I don't care for them anymore.
Oh.
I hyperfixated on them during lockdown. Now, no, haven't bought crystal since lockdown, really.
Okay.
But so because I hyperfixate on certain things for a period of time and then I never want to see it ever again.
Yeah.
So,
hobbies, interests. Yeah, 100%. Totally get that.
Yeah.
I think probably every single person listening to this podcast will also be going, yeah, that's me. As a child, every single possible musical instrument, like pottery, dancing, trampolining, also circus skills I did for a bit as well. That's definitely. But again, you can't juggle when you're dyspraxic. It's really hard.
Yeah, and probably a bit dangerous.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But no, it's, things like that. That's one example where I just would latch on to something and spend money. And I would also, go on, get expensive phone contracts, a brand new one, because I want the brand new phone, and I'd get a new car on finance, and I'd go get a new laptop, and I'd spend money a bit willy-nilly. And I got to a point where I was maxed out on, I think, 4 credit cards and maybe about 30 grand's worth of debt, and I couldn't meet my repayment, so I was starting to defer or default.
Yeah.
Luckily, unluckily, depending on how you look at it, me and my wife own our house, but it's in her name. It's nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Mostly because she was purchasing said house just as we were getting together. So it wasn't going, I moved in, but it was never our house. It's her house. But
Yeah.
thank God, actually, in a way, because when I got to a point where I needed to go to Step Change, and I highly recommend them if you're struggling, they've been great. But I don't have anything in my name, nothing. There's nothing that I could, offer up as any payment for anything.
Yeah.
And of course, I got my diagnosis, which stopped my impulse spending so much. It's still hard because I slip back into wanting the new thing, but
Yeah.
I'm aware of it. And then I can do that thing where instead of making a decision now, I can think, well, if I still want it in a week, then I will consider it again. And actually, it's almost gone the other way now, where my phone is really broken, but I'm surviving with it. It's almost like flipped
Do you
because I
know?
don't have any money
Yeah.
now. It's all
Yeah.
on this kind of gets
It's
paid off from the step management plan.
It's
So,
it's it's hard. It is hard. I mean, I think the way that I teach people to budget is all about paying off your debts in the best way possible
yeah,
whilst enjoying your life. And if you need a new phone or you want a holiday, you can still do that because you're saving enough and you've got different pots for different things. Are you and your wife quite open about finances then? Because I'm assuming that she had to know
yeah.
about the debt management plan and that it was all kind of.
Yeah, I actually probably wouldn't have got on it if it wasn't for her because
Oh,
so I really struggled with executive function or dysfunction and just filling out forms and
yeah.
actually doing the things. So I know when I started my debt management plan journey, I got a 3 month, I think, like period where I wouldn't have to make any payments or get any charges for me to sort it out, is what the creditors
Mm.
would say. And I went over the 3 months because I just couldn't get my act together to actually do it because they want so much information. It's overwhelming. And they're great
Yeah.
on the phone. They are really great, but there are certain things that you need to do yourself. You need to find out the number, your customer reference number thing for this account. And then you've got to go and get this address and this thing. And it's a lot.
It
And
is.
so just as with my ADHD diagnosis that I did through Right to Choose, my
Mm.
wife, bless her, like she's just, I love her so much. She would sit down and do the forms with me because I wouldn't
Oh,
do it. She couldn't do it. Which, why get someone who's neurodivergent to find out if they're neurodivergent by doing loads of forms and jumping through
it's
loads of hoops? It should
it
just be a
is the
case of,
most, yeah, it's
yeah, it's just,
ridiculous.
there's so much stuff around that. But that's a whole other conversation. But it was the same thing for this DMP. It was like, without her, and if I hadn't have been open, I wouldn't have had her to help me, and I would still
Yeah.
be just accruing debt. And it is like a weight is lifted because even though I still have debt, it's controlled, it's managed,
Mm.
by an external thing. It's scary because they don't stop these horrible letters coming because that's all automated. But I know that I pay, it's not even a lot, like £80 a month to
Yeah.
Step Change, and they will like filter it off. And it's great. I hate it because I'm in debt still and I
How
can't,
how long have you got left?
oh, I think so. I got offered a early settlement fee this
Okay.
year for one of my creditors. So I saved, I think it was like 65%.
Nice.
So, and we had some inheritance. So again, my wife, like, I don't know what I would do because it
Mm.
was her inheritance.
Bless him.
But they offered as a deal, it was like pay 3.5 grand for my like £11,000 debt with this one debt collector company thing. And we did it. You didn't have to do it, but it was very much like, and I spoke to Steph, and I was like, I've got this offer because I also am very easily led. Somebody says this is
Mm.
a good thing to do. I'm like, okay, thinking that everyone's got someone's best intentions in mind, and they don't.
They
So I
don't.
needed
No.
to make sure it was okay. But that has almost halved the remaining debt just by getting rid of that
Mm.
11.
Yeah.
So I think I honestly, actually, the answer is I don't know because it's done now.
In the
I don't think
background. I think
about
it's
it.
great. And I think
Yeah.
debt management plans are really, really good if you are in a position where really the only outlook looks like you're going to have to do an IVA or a bankruptcy order.
I was
Um,
borderline
yeah.
bankruptcy, and I think when I filled out the budget form thing originally, it came back and said with what I was spending in general, I can't continue. So it was going to be
Mm.
that. Of course, there were things on there. It was like I put so like 100 quid in for whatever it was, and I was like, well, I definitely could probably spend less on that, so I
Yeah.
will because I didn't want to go down that route. But yeah, it's still scary, but it has been one of the best things I've done for me because it
Yeah.
feels more safe now.
So I have this theory on debt, and as somebody who has been in £45,000 of debt twice in their life, the first time it was all consuming. Like everything was coming at me from all angles because I wasn't making enough money. Like I couldn't meet the repayments. I should have gone bankrupt, but I saw it as something that was really,
You
it was
can't do that.
shameful. I just
We're not taught. That's not what you do. You don't do
no,
that.
no.
Yeah.
Nowadays, fine. And like when my 45 grand's worth of debt came from my last business, and I was like, right, what do I do? I was like, I can't go bankrupt because I own a house. So that was, and back in those days, I didn't own anything, and it would have been a really good way to do it, but I didn't. Um, but it taught me everything I know now, so that
Yeah.
helps. This time, I was like, well, I'm going to chip away at it. I'm going to chip away at it. There's nothing else I can do. It's business debt, so for some reason, it seems less intrusive than personal debt. I don't know why. I mean, it's still that I owe money to somebody, but it seemed less bad.
It's not your
Um,
money. It's your business. It's fine.
no. Yeah, I mean, annoyingly, it is because I signed those little personal guarantee contracts where
Mm.
the writing was so small and it said personal guarantee. You need a microscope to like look at it.
Mm.
But yeah, I think for me, I've been a lot less stressed being in debt this time. I haven't got very much left. I reckon I've got about 6 grand left. The plan is that I'm going to negotiate on that. I'm probably going to do a settlement, which will give me a black mark on my credit rating for 6 years. Not bothered, because our next house, we're actually in the process of selling our house. My husband is buying it, so we're doing the opposite to you. But we've done the opposite. So this house is my house, and for the
You have
last
to play it in a way that works.
exactly. And do you know
Yeah.
what? When you are comfortable, you are safe. You are, the person who you're with loves you and supports you. It's what you do in a relationship. But me and James have always had separate finances, always, because I don't want my debts to impact him. I don't want his credit rating to be impacted. It's the best decision we've made because now we've got the deposit to move into a new house. I'm contributing to the new house. I'm still paying what I need, still paying towards the deposit, all of that stuff. Just my name is not going to be on it. And when I finally get a good credit rating again, I will be added to the mortgage. But I'm not in any rush because, I
Yeah.
trust him, he trusts me. There's no kind of there's nothing that we don't need to talk about, and actually it is about working the system so that it works in your favor.
Yeah.
But this time round, I've also been really lax. I haven't been like, I'm going to pay off this much debt in like a really, really quick amount of time. I'm just like, pay the minimum payments, pay what I'm owed. It's fine. Then I can
Hmm.
actually enjoy my life. And as long as as long as they're not sending me letters and I'm not hiding them under the doormat like I used to do, I'm
Yeah.
all
I
good
used to
with
not
that.
open them.
Same. And I
Mm.
think that's the worst thing that you can do when you're in debt is like
Pretend it
very
doesn't
pretend
exist.
it doesn't exist. Exactly that, because
Yeah.
it is actually really important to kind of stand up to these things. And I'm very surprised that you actually managed to get a step change thing, considering you're self-employed, because
Actually, at that time, I wasn't.
you weren't.
So,
So I was going to say, yeah, because step change don't actually work with people who are self-employed.
mm,
There are business companies that do. They're not great necessarily. I would always, where possible, try and kind of sort out your own debt management plan if you can do it yourself, because you can do it yourself. It is a
oh,
lot
that
of
sounds very
administration work.
overwhelming.
It is overwhelming.
Mm.
We've got free forms and letters and stuff that you can send in the Mad About Money app, because it is really tough.
Yeah.
But I
And
mean,
it's a system, just on what you've said there, that is
yeah,
kind of
not built for neurodivergent.
yeah, it's penalizing you for your neurodivergence. If
Yeah,
you can't even get the charity that is always recommended to help you if you're a freelancer or self-employed,
yeah,
well, that's and we know a lot of neurodivergent people will end up going self-employed because we cannot work within a team with
yeah,
neurotypical people and just the way they are. Not everybody,
absolutely.
and I can't
Yeah,
think of the word that I want, but where they like a toxic workplace type thing,
yeah,
and so we end up here, probably more of us end up here than anywhere else in careers, and then we can't get the support that we need so
yeah,
desperately, and it's just this vicious
yeah.
cycle.
It really is, and this is the whole reason why I've written my book. Like,
Mm.
people don't realize how much neurodivergent conditions impact your finances. Mad About Money is out now, by the way. You can or you can order it in any good bookshop. Like, I mean, I had the
That's
weird.
so cool that you can say that, by the way.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I used to work in WH Smith's, and I worked on the stationery counter, and it was an amazing job because I learned how to sell pens, which, like, in any sales job that I've ever had, and most of my career was spent in sales, it was like,
Sell
sell
me
me this
this
pen.
pen.
Fucking fabulous. I'm really good at that. I can sell any pen I want because I actually used to sell pens for a living. I never used to tell people that, but I also used to work part-time, like in the book part as well. And I basically just used to spend time sniffing books, which sounds really weird, but I used to like the smell of new books. So I would stand there sniffing them, and I would also read all of, like, because I get really bored at work because, work was boring, and I'd read the back of them, and I'd be like, this is like a really cool book. I'm going to buy this, going to add it to my list. And I was a really avid reader. Like, my hyper focus when I was younger was reading, not so much as an adult. Like, now I'm like, don't give me a book. I don't have time. I've got too much business stuff to do. But I actually do still really like it. And finding out this week that my book is on sale in WH Smith's, it's mind-blowing. It's like I've gone a full circle, and it's like I've gone from, like, reading the backs of books and sniffing them in WH Smith's to actually having my own book in WH Smith's. It's fucking crazy.
It's amazing. It's really cool.
It is really cool.
Yeah, you should be really proud.
I am. I just, like, I think my next thing is that I want to be a Sunday Times bestseller.
Oh
Like,
God, that's the dream, isn't it? That is the dream.
and I'm
I'd
putting
love
it out
that.
to the universe, but I need to sell 3,000 books in a week.
Is
Essentially,
that the criteria type
that's
thing?
the criteria.
Have you got? I assume you've got like a tradition, like mainstream traditional publisher or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
I do, and they've been amazing actually throughout the whole process. Like,
I
super.
might have to talk to you after because I really want to write a book, and I just have
Yeah.
like millions of notes everywhere. I've probably got
Oh,
about 5 books already. I just can't,
I've got some really
organize
good
it.
recommendations. Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
we'll have a chat off this
yeah,
about it.
yeah, definitely. But I mean, it has been absolutely wonderful to talk to you.
I know we
Where
did get a bit of money in at the
we did
end
get a
there.
little bit of money in, and I feel
Yeah.
like it was an important bit of money as well. And also, thank you for sharing that story, because, like, that is. I'm really, really proud that you had the confidence to come on a podcast and talk about your debts, because
I'm
especially as you're
so
sitting there,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
so important to
Yeah.
talk about things because otherwise there is shame around it and there shouldn't be.
No, absolutely not. And
So,
I absolutely love the fact that you've come on and talked about it, because having debt doesn't make you a bad person. Having debt doesn't make you a bad business owner. Having debt doesn't mean that your personality is flawed. Having debt is like, money is a commodity. If you had no food in your cupboard, people wouldn't be like, "Oh, you're such a terrible person." Like, if you had no clothes in your wardrobe, people would be like, "Oh, she's decluttered. That's amazing." Like, I just see having no money as the fact that you've decluttered it, you know?
yeah, you've just gone on a hyper focus on Marie Kondo or something.
Absolutely, absolutely. But it's been a pleasure having you on. Where can people find you?
My website, really, for all information about what I do and how I do it,
Yeah,
is notsotypicalfitness.co.uk. So for sort of anything like health and fitness, really, it's there. My favorite social platform to hang out on is LinkedIn, because I think there's it's a place I enjoy being,
yeah,
and yeah, I like it there. So I'm there quite a lot. I do have like Instagram and Threads and Facebook, and on there I am at Rhiannon Cooper PT.
amazing.
So that's
We
where
didn't
you'd
really
find
talk
me.
about the visibility stuff, and the fact that I met. So we met in the Holt, which is Leah Turner's community, which is an absolutely
Oh
fabulous
yeah,
membership.
I'm actually repping it today.
Yeah, I mean, we're repping it really
I
well.
know.
And I, like, first of all, just want to say thank you to Leah for bringing us together, because this has been an absolutely amazing podcast episode. And also just give her a shout out as well, because the Holt is like one of the best business memberships that you can possibly be in. There is so much support there. There's an amazing community. There's loads of cool people. There's lots of neurodivergent people, which I really love. And also it's just a nice place. So if anybody
It's
wants
a community. It feels like a community, doesn't it?
yeah,
Which is really nice.
absolutely. Yeah, you can do like backdoor Barry, and if anyone wants a little, because you have to join a waiting list otherwise. So if anyone wants to come into the Hole, give me a message. There is also my membership as well, which is equally as cool, Invisible to Influential, which is all about helping people with their visibility, and it's £10 a month, and it's really, really useful. And again, an amazing community of neurodivergent business owners. So if you're listening and you want to come and hang out with me a bit more and be in my world, it's £10 a month, which is cool. And you get loads of like awesome things and opportunities to be more visible in my world, like coming on this podcast, for example. So like little shameless plug there as well. Rhiannon, it's been absolutely fabulous having you on. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you sharing all of that stuff. For anybody listening, you can listen to this podcast on any of the regular platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Podbean, whatever. But also you can watch the videos on YouTube. Go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also watch them in the Mad About Money app, which is completely free to download. And if you are struggling with your money, it is the best place to come and hang out, because you can talk openly about money and no one's going to judge you. So come and download it. Make sure you order my book, and we will see you next time.